Geometry Dash, a couple dollar cube game, came out about a decade or so ago. Nowadays, a good gaming computer with the newest parts is gonna run you thousands and thousands of dollars. So my computer was over 6,000 Canadian dollars. I did pay for most of it. Newer hardware is more powerful, for sure. It's more capable, and you have more freedoms with it. It comes with more features, but... and it's more efficient, you know, AV1 encoding, I love that. But they're not always the most stable in drivers, especially newer drivers. Today I'm breaking down how I improved Geometry Dash's performance and what will probably enable me to finally beat Zodiac. And I think I could have done it in a lot less attempts too. So when I came back to the game in 2023, I quickly beat Bloodbath in 4 days and a few thousand attempts, moved on to Allegiance, completed about 30 Extreme Demons, with my hardest being Bloodlust, Congregation, Sonic Wave, Catalyze, Cerzia Difficult. Those are probably all my hardests. I've owned a few computers throughout my 23 years of life, as of 3 days ago. Happy birthday, me. I've always had issues with my first computer. It would lock up and freeze randomly, and I had to hold down the power button in order to get it to reboot. Could never diagnose the issue. Didn't have the parts tested, but the next computer I had, that would kind of do the same thing, and it would blue screen. And so I had the parts tested for that. Came back fine, never found the cause. That computer still has tons of issues. It has some nice parts too, especially for the time. It has a 1080 Ti, which I had it when it was the best. An i9 9900K that I had upgraded to. A Kraken X72 liquid CPU cooler, I believe. It had really decent parts for the time. But now I have this... I'll try and move the camera. Yeah, there we go. This beast. This fucking beast of a computer. This thing is fucking killer. It's amazing. So, naming the specs real quick. I have an Aorus Master RTX 4090. I have 32 gigabytes of 6,000 megatransfer a second DDR5. I have an Asus B650, the tough gaming motherboard, plus Wi-Fi, that model. I have a 1200 watt power supply. I have 4 terabytes of M.2 SSD, Kingston. 2 of them. They're both 2 terabytes. And I also have a One-Touch Seagate, which is a portable 5 terabyte hard drive. That is plugged into my computer sitting on top of it, making for 9 terabytes of storage. 9 terabytes. I also have another triple fan liquid CPU cooler with a triple fan radiator. I think it's Corsair Vengeance RAM, I don't know. It's a killer build. It's a killer build. And, I could never get Geometry Dash to be perfectly buttery smooth. And I tried to do all the general things you would typically want to try and do when improving performance. So that ranges from optimizing settings in Mega Hack, optimizing settings in the game, so don't turn on smooth fix, don't turn on vertical sync, just unlock FPS, and in NVIDIA control panel, I optimized the settings. I made sure all of them were good. I made sure that my BIOS settings weren't conflicting. I went in and made BIOS optimizations. I'll have to return to this later. It'll be important to note I turned Resizable BAR on, which is supposed to help with some things. I'll be touching back on this after. I even tried doing process of elimination by closing certain background things, seeing if that would help. I tried turning off certain overlays like the NVIDIA Shadow Play overlay and Discord overlay. I disabled and enabled certain things in certain software to try and help alleviate the issue. I downloaded Riva Tuner, so RTSS is also called, and MSI Afterburner, and got up the frame time graph with all the CPU cores. The CPU usage was quite imbalanced, and my frame time was perfectly flat except for these consistent and pattern like it was the exact same amount of time in between each one. These spikes on the frame time graph, so a micro stutter. Oh yeah, I had even downloaded Power Settings Explorer. I think that's yeah, I had downloaded Power Settings Explorer as well. Oh yeah, it was processor idle demote threshold. You turn that off. And processor idle promote threshold. You turn that off as well. And then I think the other thing that I changed, I like put my graphics card into MSI mode or something like that. I don't know, man. I can't find what I was talking about. That's fine. Point is, I tried a lot of different stuff. I downloaded the drivers for pretty much everything and updated them. I also tried backpedaling my NVIDIA driver. I mean, at least when changing the BIOS settings I did, I still got the benefits of them. I just didn't fix the issue I was after. I actually managed to force it so we had to do a CMOS reset like 3 times, and what that is where there's like a battery in the motherboard, I think. I can't remember exactly where it is, but you pull this battery out and you leave it out for 5 or 10 minutes and it'll completely reset the BIOS and everything. Had to do that 3 times because I kept trying to change a setting that I thought was going to give me benefits and it didn't. So that was kind of annoying. Once I made BIOS changes that actually held and are very beneficial, and it didn't cause any issues or roadblocks, things were a little bit better, but I didn't fix my stutter in Geometry Dash, which I also corroborated as being present in every other game I played, and the computer in general. Just it would be very selective and random with when it happened, depending on what it is. Then I came across Direct Display Uninstaller and NV Clean Install. So if you have a newer graphics card, you're gonna have newer drivers by default. These come with a lot of bloat and bugs for a lot of software and games. Basically, NVIDIA was like, hey, we want to use AI, so we're gonna put all our compatibility towards AI type shit, and the consumer can just deal with whatever bugs happens as a result of incompatibilities with older software, even newer software. Ray tracing is so good. I was browsing Reddit solutions over, so I had specifically searched Google. I actually thought of a really good Google search. I was like, I think it might be because I have newer hardware. So I'm gonna Google RTX 4090 and then my problem. So 4090 stutter with Geometry Dash. This led to me discovering Direct Display Uninstaller and NV Clean Install. With Direct Display Uninstaller, you can completely clean slate a lot of your drivers, pretty much. And so what you want to do is boot your computer into safe mode. You can do this by going to the Windows menu to power, hit restart, and you hold shift. I can't remember if it's right before you do it or after you do it. Once you get into safe mode, holding shift when restarting, getting to that Windows settings screen, you want to do startup options, and then you want to, I don't know if it's doing a certain kind of reset or the reset option is just there, but then you want to like hold F4 or F5 if you want safe mode with networking. You'll boot up into safe mode, and then once you're there, use direct display uninstaller to clean slate the drivers. It's better to do it this way for your computer's sake. I just did every single fucking driver. I just wanted to fix the issue. I used NV clean install. I didn't need to boot into safe mode for this. This can just run normally fine. I used NV clean install to download a certain NVIDIA studio driver that I found, not the game ready driver. If I boot up NV clean install, I went with 552.22, and it's not the most intuitive, but with the help of just basic AI, you can figure out what you're doing here and what settings you want for yourself when setting this up. The reason why I went with 552.22 is it's a bit older. It's renowned for being more stable, especially on newer cards. That's the reason you get the studio driver and not the game ready driver. So it's an older, more stable driver, but and there's less bloat, but it does still have the AV1 encoder option if you use OBS, which I do, and I need that encoder. Higher quality, less file size, damn straight. Good compromise of keeping features and stability. Oh, I probably should have mentioned this sooner. So, this whole time that I was troubleshooting, I was using a software called, if I can find it on this fucking desktop. Nope. Not doing it. And latencymon is like a diagnostic tool that can tell you how your computer is kind of running in terms of latency, ISR count, DPC count, highest execution time, total execution time of certain drivers. It'll tell you what, all kinds of information, where it is. And so when I applied the new driver and I used NV clean install to get rid of bloat, optimizing settings there while installing, it just kind of switched around which drivers had the most latency and DPC count. And so I was like, I'm like plugging a hole in a dam here, and when I do, another one pops up. And then with the help of, I think it was Grok and Gemini, Google Gemini. Yeah, with the help of Grok and Gemini, both AI, I was able to get my hands on these certain software with further context of what I had done so far and everything. It told me to get FrameCap X. I also had gotten HW info, but this didn't really do as much for me, I don't think. So FrameCap X, or CapFrame X it's called. CapFrame X. Oops. And basically in here you can set up like a capture. And what it captures is just all your values for frame time, stuttering, different FPS thresholds, variances, all kinds of different stuff you can track in here. This was before I tried any troubleshoot. This was before I tried the new advice with it telling me to get this software, which was turn off Resizable BAR and turn off game mode, and I think a couple things. I'll have to go back and see. Oh, you can actually see it at the bottom here, yeah. Resizable BAR on, sensor logging on, overlay on, capture service ready. This was the first test, and I had smooth gameplay 79% of the time, and I had stuttering 21% of the time. The second one was... Oh wait, Resizable BAR is still on? No, I turned that shit off. I didn't see that. I'm gonna go check to see if it's on. So yeah, I left Resizable BAR on. I optimized the BIOS. Every optimization I could. Made a world of difference. Latency mon, helping me actually figure out what drivers were causing the stutter. I couldn't find any other source tied to frame time, so I've stumbled across latency mon, I think also in a thread somewhere, and I had seen it before, it didn't occur to me to download that, and so I did, and that helped me figure out it was this NVL ddmkm.sys and the WDF 0x1000 or whatever it is. There's a few of them there. When I used Direct Display Uninstaller to clean slate the drivers and NV clean install to get specific drivers of a certain kind, that really cleared things up in terms of the GPU rendering issue. I can't forget I'm just gonna include this, the Windows game mode. Shut off Windows game mode, shut off hardware acceleration, HAGS is the acronym, hardware accelerated graphics, something, I can't remember. Scheduling, I think, scheduling maybe. And number one thing that helped me was those brand specific BIOS optimizations, a couple of them. Capframe X and Latency Mon were both very useful, very, very useful. And knowing what settings should be explored is also pretty important. But yeah, doing all these different things allowed me to get the most out of my computer with newer hardware, even if older software, older games, still running buttery smooth, like absolutely buttery smooth. AW 2725DF, beautiful monitor. Of course, make sure all your other stuff is optimized. Do the 4GB patch and timer resolution. That's about it for the improvements I made, and now my game runs amazing. I actually went back and did 3 sets of BIOS setting changes, and now I have the best. It just got better each time, and now it's the best it's ever been, which is actually amazing. I want to see what I'm able to do now in Geometry Dash. It's going to be very exciting. Yeah, that's how I fixed shitty bloated drivers mixed with not fully tapping the performance of my computer, and optimized settings both in BIOS and Windows. Yeah, that's how I fixed shitty bloated drivers mixed with not fully tapping the performance of my computer, and optimized settings both in BIOS and Windows. This is the outro. I'm not gonna get too crazy. I'm not gonna get too generic. I'm just gonna take it for what it is. You know, you can subscribe if you want to. My name means to conquer, I guess. That's cool. You know, that's something. Maybe help us get to be the most subscribed Vince on YouTube. That'd be fucking cool. Here's my socials if you're interested. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's it. Bye.